The giant ships appeared without warning. One moment, the skies above Earth's major cities were clear. The next, massive vessels hovered silently overhead, their smooth metal surfaces reflecting sunlight down onto the shocked faces of billions of humans. News channels around the world interrupted their broadcasts. Cell phones chimed with emergency alerts. Social media exploded with images of the strange visitors. Humanity collectively held its breath. After 3 hours of silence, the vessels transmitted a message. It played on every communication device on Earth at exactly the same time. People of Earth, we are the Consolidated Galactic Authority, rulers of 10,000 star systems. Your primitive probe activated our monitoring systems, alerting us to your technological advancement. The CGA hereby claims this system under Article 17 of the Galactic Charter. You have 30 Earth days to surrender all sovereignty, resources, and military control to CGA representatives. Compliance will result in permitted cultural continuity under supervision. Resistance will result in cultural remediation. These terms are non-negotiable. The message ended with detailed instructions for world leaders to meet CGA representatives at specific coordinates. Panic spread across the globe. Military forces scrambled fighter jets, only to watch them lose power when they approached the alien vessels. Nuclear missile sites reported complete system failures. Earth's most advanced weapons were useless against this unknown technology. In Washington, D.C., President Eliza Morgan called an emergency meeting of her national security team. Similar meetings happened in Beijing, Moscow, New Delhi, and other capitals around the world. Through encrypted channels, leaders shared what they knew, which was almost nothing. "We can't fight them," General Williams said, spreading satellite photos across the Situation Room table. "Their ships are at least 2 miles long. Our best estimate is that there are 27 of them positioned strategically around the planet." "What about diplomacy?" asked Secretary Chen. "Maybe we can negotiate better terms." The president shook her head. "They said non-negotiable, but we need to try. Ambassador Davis, prepare a team to meet their representatives. The rest of you, I want contingency plans. We have 30 days. What none of them knew was that beneath the Pacific Ocean, 3,000 feet below the surface, another meeting was taking place. In a facility unknown to 99.9% of the world's population, Admiral Helena Chen stared at the same alien message playing on a wall-sized screen. Unlike the shocked expressions around her, her face showed grim determination. "It's happening exactly as we predicted," she said to the small group of military and scientific personnel. "Operation Prometheus is now active." Dr. Elias Montgomery, chief scientist of the Prometheus project, stepped forward. "All 12 vessels are ready for launch, Admiral. We've been preparing for this day for 50 years. The Prometheus project had begun in 1975 after a small alien scout ship crashed in the Gobi Desert. The wreckage and its dead pilot were secretly recovered by a joint Chinese-American team during a brief period of cooperation during the Cold War. Both superpowers recognized the implications. Earth was not alone, and someday, others might come. Instead of announcing the discovery, they buried it. A secret agreement formed between major powers. Prepare in silence. For decades, the world's brightest minds were quietly recruited to reverse engineer the alien technology. Advances in computing, materials science, and energy generation filtered into the public sphere as breakthrough innovations, while the true source remained hidden. Admiral Chen turned to her communications officer. "Send the activation codes. All Prometheus personnel worldwide are to report to their stations immediately." Across the globe, thousands of specially trained individuals received encrypted messages on secure devices. Scientists vanished from universities. Military specialists requested emergency leave. Engineers disappeared from tech companies. They all made their way to hidden facilities in remote mountains, undersea bases, and secret desert installations. Meanwhile, the first diplomatic meeting with the aliens was not going well. Ambassador Davis and representatives from 20 other nations stood nervously in a field outside Geneva where the aliens had requested the meeting. A small shuttle descended from one of the massive ships. Its door opened to reveal tall, slender beings with iridescent skin and 4 arms. They moved with fluid grace that seemed almost unnatural. The lead alien introduced himself as Admiral Vorthalis of the CGA Diplomatic Corps. His translator device produced perfect English, though his mouth didn't move in sync with the words. Your planet has been monitored since your earliest civilizations, Vorthalis explained. We catalog developing worlds and incorporate them when they reach certain technological thresholds. Your recent activities triggered our protocols. We're a sovereign planet with many independent nations, Ambassador Davis replied. We cannot simply surrender our autonomy. The alien's expression didn't change. You misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. The CGA governs 10,000 worlds. Your compliance is expected, not requested. Resistance would be unfortunate for your species. We need time to discuss this with our people, the Chinese representative said. You have 30 days, Vorthalis replied. Use them wisely. As diplomatic, efforts continued on the surface, deep beneath mountain ranges and oceans. Humanity's secret fleet prepared for launch. The 12 warships of Project Prometheus were unlike anything the public had ever seen. Brutal machines of war combining reversed engineered alien technology with human ingenuity. In her quarters aboard the flagship Ares, still docked in its underwater hangar, Admiral Chen reviewed personnel files of her crew, the best pilots, engineers, and soldiers humanity had to offer. People who had trained their entire careers for a moment they hoped would never come. Her communication panel lit up. It was President Morgan, one of the few world leaders fully briefed on Prometheus. Admiral, can we win this? The president asked without preamble. Chen's expression remained steady. Madam President, they expect surrender. But humanity doesn't surrender. We have surprises they cannot imagine. As the 30-day deadline approached, the world held its breath. The aliens believed they faced a primitive species with no option but to yield. They would soon learn how dangerous humans could be when cornered. 20 days into the 30-day ultimatum, Admiral Vorthalis grew impatient. The humans kept requesting meetings and asking the same questions in different ways. They were clearly stalling, but for what purpose? Their primitive weapons couldn't harm CGA vessels. This is becoming tiresome, he told his second-in-command, Officer Kelnor. They have no options, yet refuse to accept reality. Perhaps a demonstration would speed their decision, Kelnor suggested. Vorthalis considered this. Prepare a targeting solution for the uninhabited island in the Pacific. We'll show them our capabilities without causing loss of life. Even primitives understand shows of force. The CGA flagship moved into position above a small island 500 miles from Hawaii. World governments received a message announcing the demonstration. News agencies broadcast warnings. Satellites and military sensors focused on the area. At precisely noon UTC, the alien vessel released a beam of blue-white energy. It struck the island, but something unexpected happened. The beam hit an invisible barrier and scattered harmlessly into the atmosphere. The island remained untouched. In the underwater facility, Dr. Montgomery watched the data stream in with satisfaction. Shield technology functioning at 97% efficiency, better than our simulations predicted. Admiral Chen allowed herself a small smile. Let's see how they respond to that surprise. On the CGA ship, Admiral Vorthalis stared at the readouts in disbelief. How is this possible? Our scans detected no energy shield technology on this planet. The humans have been hiding their capabilities, Kelnor said, voice tight with concern. This indicates a level of advancement we didn't account for. Vorthalis composed himself quickly. Request an immediate meeting with their leaders. I want answers. The emergency meeting took place at the United Nations building in New York. This time, more alien representatives attended, their body language tense despite their attempt to appear calm. Explain this technology, Vorthalis demanded. Our records show your species should not possess energy deflection capabilities, the Secretary General replied carefully, following the script provided by Project Prometheus. We have many technologies we don't share publicly. Perhaps your assessment of our capabilities was incomplete. The alien's eyes narrowed. This changes nothing. You cannot hope to match the full might of the CGA fleet. Thousands of ships will arrive if needed. We understand, said the Secretary General. We're still considering your original proposal. Meanwhile, in secret facilities around the world, final preparations were underway. Prometheus personnel worked around the clock, sleeping in shifts beside their stations. The 12 warships were nearly ready for launch. At the primary facility under the Pacific, Dr. Montgomery led Admiral Chen through the cavernous docking bay where the flagship Ares waited. Unlike the smooth, elegant alien vessels, Earth's warships were angular and aggressive-looking, bristling with weapon systems. The engines are fully operational, Dr. Montgomery explained. The reverse-engineered gravity drives are actually more efficient than the original alien design. We made improvements. How's that possible? Chen asked. Montgomery smiled. The CGA's technology has remained almost unchanged for centuries. They stopped innovating. We took their concepts and pushed them further, added redundancies, combined them with our own approaches. They think in terms of elegance, we think in terms of effectiveness. Chen ran her hand along the hull of the Ares. And the weapon systems? That's where we really surprised ourselves, Montgomery said, leading her to a viewing station overlooking a massive cannon assembly. Their shield technology has specific frequencies it can't block, weaknesses they never addressed because no one in their empire ever attacked them that way. Our pulse cannons target those exact frequencies. In another part of the facility, combat teams ran final simulations. Unlike traditional military hierarchies, the Prometheus crews had been selected and trained to emphasize quick thinking and adaptation. Captains were encouraged to make independent decisions based on changing situations rather than rigid protocols. Major Sonia Rodriguez, commander of the warship Athena, watched her crew run through their 15th combat drill of the day. Again, she ordered, we need to shave another 7 seconds off the response time. As the deadline approached, world leaders continued diplomatic efforts as a distraction. They requested complex clarifications about the terms of surrender, proposed modified arrangements, and asked for extensions, all to buy more time. 5 days before the deadline, Admiral Chen called together the captains of all 12 warships through secure holographic communications. The CGA expects us to surrender, she told them, looking at each face in turn. They believe they understand human psychology. They think we'll calculate the odds, see their overwhelming, and choose survival through submission. She paused, allowing her words to sink in. What they don't understand is that humans have never simply accepted overwhelming odds. Throughout our history, we've faced superior forces and found ways to prevail. The CGA has ruled unchallenged for so long they've forgotten what it means to fight an enemy with nothing to lose. Captain Marcus Way of the warship Thor spoke up. Our intelligence suggests they'll bring in reinforcements once they realize we're resisting. We'll be outnumbered, hundreds to one. Yes, Chen acknowledged. But we'll have surprise on our side, at least initially, and if we can capture their communication hub in the first assault, we can delay their calls for backup. Even so, Major Rodriguez said, this is essentially a suicide mission. Chen didn't disagree. You all volunteered knowing the odds. Anyone who wishes to withdraw may do so without dishonor. Not a single person spoke. Chen nodded, feeling a surge of pride. Launch preparations begin tomorrow. 3 days from now, when they expect our surrender documents, we strike instead. Across the globe, final messages were sent to families, vague explanations about emergency deployments without details that might reveal the truth. Some Prometheus personnel hadn't seen their loved ones in weeks, having been called to their stations when the aliens first appeared. In her private quarters, Admiral Chen recorded a message for her teenage daughter, to be delivered only if she didn't return. I hope someday you'll understand why I had to do this, she said to the camera. Everything I've done, including leaving you now, has been to ensure you have a future where humans determine their own destiny. On the final night before the operation, Dr. Montgomery made a last inspection of the Ares. He found Chen on the Bridge reviewing tactical plans. Still working? He asked. Can't sleep, she replied. Montgomery nodded toward the ceiling, indicating the aliens above. They think tomorrow they'll accept our surrender. Chen's expression hardened. Tomorrow, they learn what happens when you corner humanity. The final day of the ultimatum arrived. Global news networks showed crowds gathering in major cities. Some held protest signs against surrender. Others held prayer vigils. Most simply watched the skies with fear and uncertainty. In New York, a formal ceremony was arranged at the United Nations Plaza. CGA representatives stood on a specially constructed platform, their tall forms towering over the human diplomats. Media cameras broadcasted the event worldwide. Admiral Vorthalis stepped forward, his iridescent skin catching the morning sunlight. People of Earth, the wisdom of your leaders prevails today. The Consolidated Galactic Authority welcomes your world into our protection and governance. The Secretary General approached with a folder containing what appeared to be surrender documents. Vorthalis reached out his forearms to accept them. At that exact moment, every electronic device on Earth flickered. The planetary defense shield that had been used only once before now expanded outward with tremendous force, creating an electromagnetic pulse that disrupted all CGA communications. Vorthalis staggered backward, his translator device suddenly silent. His guards reached for weapons that no longer functioned. Around the world, the massive alien ships lost power temporarily as the shield wave passed through them. Deep beneath the ocean, Admiral Chen gave the command that humanity had prepared for 50 years. All vessels commence Operation Thunderbolt. Launch now. In 12 locations around the globe, beneath oceans, inside mountains, under Arctic ice, and within desert plateaus, massive doors opened. Earth's secret warships rose from their hiding places. The Ares broke the Pacific surface in an explosive column of water, its dark hull glistening in the sunlight. In the North Atlantic, the Thor emerged from beneath a glacier. The Athena shot upward from a hidden base in the Australian outback. One by one, humanity's defenders revealed themselves. Unlike the smooth, crystalline alien vessels, Earth's warships were angular machines of war. Their hulls bristled with weapons specifically designed to target the weaknesses in CGA shield systems. In the CGA command ship above New York, Admiral Vorthalis watched in disbelief as his tactical display showed human vessels appearing everywhere. Impossible, he shouted. There was no indication of this level of technology. His second-in-command scrambled to restore communications. Weapon systems are coming back online, but their ships are moving too fast for targeting. The Thor reached the CGA vessel above London first. Captain Wei executed the attack pattern they had practiced thousands of times in simulation. The human warship fired a series of precisely calculated energy pulses that cycled through frequencies too rapidly for the alien shields to adapt. The CGA vessel's shields flickered and failed. A second barrage from the Thor disabled its propulsion systems. The massive alien ship began to drift helplessly. In Moscow, Beijing, and Delhi, similar scenes played out. The alien vessels had superior technology but had not faced actual combat in centuries. Their responses followed standard protocols that the Prometheus teams had studied and prepared for. Aboard the Ares, Admiral Chen watched the tactical display as her fleet engaged the enemy. Status report, she ordered. 8 CGA vessels disabled. Her tactical officer reported. 3 more under heavy attack. Their flagship above New York is moving to a higher orbit, likely attempting to call for reinforcements. Not happening, Chen said firmly. All ships' priority target is the CGA flagship. We cannot allow them to send a distress signal. The Ares, Thor, and Athena converged on New York, executing a complex 3-dimensional attack pattern. The CGA flagship fired back, its weapons far more powerful than anything humans had built. The Thor took a direct hit to its port side, losing shield coverage. Hull breach on decks 4 through 7, Captain Wei reported. Emergency bulkheads holding. Stay in formation, Chen ordered. Athena, provide covering fire. Ares will make the approach. Major Rodriguez didn't hesitate. The Athena moved between the damaged Thor and the alien flagship, absorbing punishing hits while maintaining its shield integrity. The Ares circled beneath the alien vessel, targeting its communication array with precision strikes. The massive dish structure on the CGA ship exploded in a shower of crystalline fragments. "Communication systems destroyed," reported the Ares tactical officer. "They can't call for help." But the alien flagship wasn't defenseless. It fired a powerful energy beam that cut through the Athena's shields like they weren't there. "New weapon type," shouted Rodriguez as her ship shuddered violently. "They're adapting." Dr. Montgomery, monitoring from the Ares science station, analyzed the data quickly. "They're using a phase-shifted beam we didn't account for. Adjusting shield frequencies now." The three human ships regrouped, implementing Montgomery's shield modifications as they continued their assault. The CGA flagship, though damaged, fought back fiercely. On its bridge, Admiral Vorthalis faced a situation no CGA commander had encountered in 15,000 years: the real possibility of defeat. "How are these primitives beating us?" demanded Kelnor. "Their technology shouldn't be this advanced." "They're not following standard combat protocols," Vorthalis observed, watching the human ships move in patterns that made no logical sense. To him, "They're being unpredictable." The human warships darted in and out of weapons range, sometimes taking hits that seemed unnecessary, other times leaving openings that were clearly traps. When the CGA ships adapted to one tactic, the humans immediately switched to another. After 20 minutes of intense combat, Admiral Chen saw her opportunity. The CGA flagship had focused its remaining shields toward the Thor and Athena, leaving a small section of its aft quarter vulnerable. "Full power to forward weapons," she ordered. "Target their engine core." The Ares dove beneath the alien vessel and fired upward with everything it had. The precision strike hit exactly where the shields were weakest. The CGA flagship's main power core destabilized. "All ships, clear the area," Chen commanded. The three human vessels pulled away just as the CGA flagship erupted in a massive explosion that temporarily outshone the sun. Debris scattered across the upper atmosphere, creating streaks of light visible even in daylight. Around the world, the remaining CGA vessels witnessed their flagship's destruction. Those still capable of faster-than-light travel didn't wait for orders. They fled, jumping to light speed with coordinates set for the nearest CGA outpost. In cities across Earth, people who had been watching the aerial battle in terror now erupted in cheers. Humanity had fought back against impossible odds, and won. On the bridge of the Ares, Admiral Chen allowed herself a moment of satisfaction before turning to her communications officer. "Status of our fleet? 9 vessels intact and operational. Thor and Isis sustaining damage but stable. Odin." The officer paused. Odin was lost with all hands when defending Rio de Janeiro. A moment of silence fell over the bridge. They had achieved victory, but at a cost. And Chen knew this was just the beginning. "The CGA won't accept this defeat," Dr. Montgomery said quietly. "They'll be back with a larger force." "Yes," Chen agreed, "but we won't be waiting for them." She straightened her uniform and addressed the entire bridge crew. "We've defended our home. Now we take the fight to theirs." 3 days after Earth's victory, world leaders gathered at the United Nations to discuss their next steps. The room buzzed with a mixture of triumph and fear. "We've won a battle, not the war," President Morgan said, addressing the assembly. "The CGA will return with a much larger force." The Chinese premier nodded in agreement. "Our intelligence suggests they're gathering ships from across their empire. We estimate 3 to 4 weeks before they arrive." Admiral Chen, who had been invited to the meeting, stepped forward. "Waiting for them to return would be a fatal mistake. They'll bring thousands of ships next time. We propose an alternative strategy." She nodded to Dr. Montgomery, who activated a holographic display showing star maps captured from the CGA flagship. "We've analyzed their navigation systems," Montgomery explained. "We now have the coordinates of their nearest military outpost in several key worlds. We believe our best chance, perhaps our only chance, is to take the fight to them immediately." Murmurs of surprise filled the room. "You're suggesting we attack them?" asked the Russian president. "With only 11 ships?" 12, Chen corrected. "We've accelerated completion of our final vessel, the Osiris. But more importantly, we propose converting civilian spacecraft using the technology we've developed. We can have a fleet of 30, ships ready within a week. The debate lasted for hours, but in the end, the decision was clear. Earth couldn't win a defensive war against the full might of the CGA. Their only hope was to strike first, disrupt the enemy's organization, and force a more favorable resolution. 7 days later, Earth's expanded fleet prepared for departure. The 11 Prometheus warships formed the core, supported by 19 converted vessels. Some were former space stations, others research ships quickly outfitted with weapons and shields. Aboard the Ares, Admiral Chen addressed the combined fleet crews through a video feed. What we're attempting has never been done in human history, taking the fight to an enemy among the stars. Our species has dreamed of reaching other solar systems for generations. Now we do so not as explorers, but as warriors fighting for our very existence. She paused, looking at the determined faces on her screen. Many of you were civilians just days ago. All of you are now Earth's defenders. The CGA believes we're primitive beings who will cower in fear while they gather their forces. They expect us to wait passively for destruction. Instead, we will show them that humanity's greatest strength is our refusal to accept defeat. On a countdown, the 30 ships activated their reverse-engineered faster-than-light drives. In flashes of blue light, they vanished from Earth orbit, leaving their homeworld behind. The journey to the nearest CGA outpost took 14 hours. When the human fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel, they found themselves near a massive space station orbiting a red dwarf star. Dozens of CGA vessels docked around it with more patrolling nearby. "They're not on high alert," observed Captain Wei from the Thor. "They don't expect us." "That advantage won't last long," Chen replied. "All ships commence attack pattern Delta. Military vessels are primary targets, communication arrays secondary." The human fleet split into 3 groups and attacked from different vectors. The first CGA ships were disabled before they could raise shields. Others scrambled to defensive positions, but their responses were slow and confused. They had no protocols for this scenario. No spacefaring species had ever attacked a CGA facility in millennia. From the command center of Outpost Zeta-17, Commander Grelvok watched in horror as human ships, recognizable from emergency broadcasts, systematically dismantled his defenses. "How did they get here?" he demanded. "They shouldn't have faster-than-light capability." "Unknown, Commander," his operations officer replied. "We've sent distress signals, but the humans are targeting our communication relays. 3 have already been destroyed." "Deploy all available ships," Grelvok ordered, "and send messenger vessels to nearby systems." The battle intensified as more CGA ships joined the fight. Unlike at Earth, where they'd been caught completely by surprise, the aliens now fought back with their full capabilities. 2 of the converted human vessels were destroyed in the first hour of combat. Aboard the Ares, Dr. Montgomery worked frantically to analyze the enemy's weapons and update their defenses. "Their adaptive shields are more sophisticated than we anticipated," he told Chen. "They're learning from each engagement." "So are we," Chen replied. "Order all ships to rotate attack frequencies according to pattern Omega. Don't give them time to adapt." The battle raged for 3 hours. The human fleet lost 5 more ships but continued pressing their attack with fierce determination. The CGA forces, despite superior technology, seemed unable to counter the humans' unpredictable tactics. "They're retreating," announced Chen's tactical officer. "The remaining CGA ships are breaking orbit." "Don't pursue," Chen ordered. "Secure the station." Teams from the Ares, Thor, and Athena boarded the massive CGA outpost. They encountered minimal resistance. Most of the alien personnel had evacuated. In the central control room, they discovered something unexpected. "Admiral, you need to see this," Major Rodriguez called over the comm. Chen entered the station's data center where Rodriguez and Montgomery were examining an alien console. "These aren't military records," Montgomery said, his voice tight with excitement. "This is a historical archive, and look what we found." He activated a display showing images that made Chen's heart stop. The pictures showed beings that looked remarkably human, wearing advanced technology unlike anything from Earth or the CGA. "According to these records," Montgomery explained, "there was once a species called the Precursors. They were technological innovators who refused to join the CGA because they valued independence and creativity. The CGA considered them dangerous and unpredictable. What happened to them? Chen asked. Rodriguez pointed to another section of data. The CGA deployed a biological weapon against their homeworld approximately 50,000 years ago. It didn't kill them all, but it devastated their civilization, causing a regression to primitive state. Montgomery looked up, his eyes wide. Admiral, their homeworld's coordinates match Earth's. We're not just fighting for our planet, we're fighting the people who tried to destroy our ancestors. This revelation spread quickly through the human fleet. What had been a desperate fight for survival now transformed into something else, righteous vengeance for an ancient wrong. Chen ordered teams to download everything from the archives while others secured the outpost's weapons and technology. With the station under their control, Earth now had a forward base in enemy territory. As Chen stood on the observation deck looking out at the stars, she felt the weight of this new knowledge. Humanity wasn't just a random species that had developed in isolation. They were the descendants of a people the CGA had feared enough to try to eradicate. "What's our next move, Admiral?" Montgomery asked, joining her. Chen's expression hardened, with determination. "We send teams to every subjugated world in this sector. We tell them the truth about the CGA. And we prepare for the real fight that's coming." Across the stars, news of the impossible human counterattack spread through the Galactic Authority like wildfire. For the first time in thousands of years, the CGA faced something they had never expected, a serious threat to their power. News of the human attack spread rapidly through the consolidated Galactic Authority. Emergency meetings were called across thousands of worlds. The impossible had happened. A pre-FTL civilization had not only repelled a standard subjugation force but had counterattacked a CGA outpost. At the heart of CGA territory on the capital world Centaurus Prime, Grand Imperator Zovax called his High Council together. The chamber, designed to display the CGA's power and elegance, featured soaring crystal pillars and gravity-defying architecture. The council members, representatives of the oldest and most powerful species in the galaxy, took their places. With unusual haste. "How is this possible?" demanded Zovax, his normally composed features twisted with rage. "These primitives were barely reaching their own moon a century ago." High Commander Trelzan, head of the CGA military, stepped forward. "Initial analysis suggests they reverse-engineered technology from our vessels. But that alone doesn't explain their combat effectiveness. They're fighting in ways we haven't seen in millennia." "What aren't you telling me, Commander?" Zovax asked, sensing hesitation. Trelzan's 4 eyes blinked nervously. "The outpost they captured contained historical archives. If they access those records..." The chamber fell silent as understanding dawned on the council members. "They'll discover their true heritage," whispered one of the elders. "Dispatch the main fleet immediately," ordered Zovax. "Every available vessel. I want Earth reduced to atoms before they can awaken what lies beneath its surface." Meanwhile, aboard the captured CGA outpost, Dr. Montgomery worked tirelessly to decipher the alien archives. With each new discovery, his excitement grew. The precursors weren't just advanced, he explained to Admiral Chen and the gathered ship captains. They approached technology fundamentally differently than the CGA. Where the CGA values stability and control, the precursors valued creativity and adaptation. Their technology evolved rapidly, too rapidly for the CGA's comfort. "That sounds familiar," Captain Wei remarked. "It should," Montgomery continued. "The archives confirm what we suspected. The precursors are our ancestors. The CGA's biological weapon didn't kill them all. It damaged their neural development, essentially resetting civilization on Earth. We've been rebuilding ever since, unknowingly following the same technological path." Major Rodriguez studied the projected images of precursor technology. If they were so advanced, did they leave anything behind on Earth? Montgomery nodded excitedly. According to these records, they created a planetary defense system unlike anything the CGA had seen. Weapons platforms hidden beneath Earth's surface. Defensive systems integrated into the planet itself. The CGA thought their weapon destroyed it all, but the archives suggest the systems weren't destroyed, just deactivated when there was no one left who could operate them. "Could we reactivate them?" Chen asked. "Possibly, The systems were genetically keyed to precursor DNA. Our DNA. Montgomery pointed to specific coordinates on a holographic map of Earth. These 7 locations contain the primary control nodes. If we can reach them, a communications officer interrupted. Admiral, we're detecting a massive energy signature at the edge of this system. CGA vessels, hundreds of them. Chen's expression hardened. They're moving faster than we anticipated. How long until they reach this position? Approximately 72 hours at their current speed. Chen turned to her captains. We have 3 days to prepare. Captain Wei, take the Thor and 3 support. Vessels back to Earth immediately. Find those control nodes and activate them if possible. The rest of us will make our stand here and buy you time. That's suicide, Admiral, Rodriguez objected. Even with the outpost's defenses, we can't hold off the main CGA fleet. We don't need to defeat them, Chen replied. We just need to delay them long enough for Earth to prepare. If those ancient defense systems are real, they're our best hope. As the Thor and its escort ships departed for Earth, the remaining human fleet worked frantically to fortify the outpost. They salvaged weapons from damaged CGA vessels, improved shield systems, and prepared for the coming battle. Back on Earth, Captain Wei's team raced against time. The coordinates from the archives led them to 7 locations spread across the planet, deep in the Amazon rainforest, beneath the Egyptian desert, under Mount Fuji, in the Arctic ice, at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, in the Australian outback, and hidden in the Himalayan mountains. At each site, they found sealed chambers filled with technology beyond their understanding. The control interfaces responded to human touch, glowing with energy that had lain dormant for 50,000 years. In the chamber beneath the Pacific Ocean, Wei placed his hand on the central control panel. The ancient system scanned his DNA, recognizing the patterns of its creators. Genetic verification accepted, announced a voice in a language no human had heard before, yet Wei somehow understood. Defensive systems initiating restart sequence. Estimated time to full activation 68 hours. That's not fast enough, Wei told his team. The CGA fleet will reach the outpost before then. Dr. Eliza Shang, Montgomery's chief assistant, who had joined Wei's mission, studied the ancient controls. These systems are drawing power too slowly. If we redirect energy from our modern power grids, do it, Wei ordered. Whatever it takes. As Wei's team worked to accelerate the awakening of Earth's ancient defenses, Admiral Chen prepared for what might be her final battle. The human fleet, now reduced to 22 vessels, formed a defensive perimeter around the captured outpost. All ships, final status report, Chen commanded from the Ares bridge. Athena ready, shields at maximum, reported Rodriguez. One by one, the captains confirmed their readiness. Many of the converted civilian vessels had been enhanced with technology salvaged from the outpost, but they remained vastly outmatched by what was coming. Admiral, her communications officer called, we're receiving a transmission from the approaching fleet. The main screen activated to show the face of Grand Imperator Zovax himself. His expression contained both anger and something Chen hadn't expected. Fear. Human vessels, this is Grand Imperator Zovax of the Consolidated Galactic Authority. Your unprovoked aggression against our peaceful empire cannot be tolerated. However, in the interest of minimizing loss of life, I offer you one opportunity to surrender. Chen stood from her command chair, facing the alien leader directly. Grand Imperator, this is Admiral Helena Chen of Earth. We've seen your archives. We know what you did to our ancestors. There will be no surrender, not now, not ever. Zovax's features darkened. Then you have chosen extinction. We will not make the same mistake twice. As the transmission ended, the first wave of CGA warships appeared at the edge of their sensors, massive vessels that dwarfed even their largest ships. Chen took a deep breath and addressed her fleet. Remember why we fight. Not just for today's Earth, but for 50,000 years of human struggle to reclaim what was taken from us. Whatever happens here, Earth now knows the truth, and the CGA will never again underestimate humanity. The largest space battle in human history was about to begin While back on Earth, a power older than recorded history slowly awakened from its long slumber. The battle at the captured outpost began with overwhelming force. Hundreds of CGA warships surrounded the human fleet, their weapons charging simultaneously. Admiral Chen had positioned her 22 vessels in a defensive formation that maximized their shield coverage. All ships execute battle plan Scorched Earth, Chen ordered. Remember your training and trust your instincts. When the CGA opened fire, the space around the outpost lit up with energy beams. Several human ships were hit immediately. 2 of the converted civilian vessels exploded in brilliant flashes of light. But Chen's fleet didn't break formation. They returned fire with precision, targeting specific weaknesses in the CGA vessels that Dr. Montgomery had identified from the archives. Though vastly outnumbered, the human ships fought with desperate ingenuity. "They're not following any recognizable battle pattern," reported a CGA commander to Grand Imperator Zovax. "Our tactical computers can't predict their movements." "Of course not," Zovax replied bitterly. "They're behaving like precursors, unpredictable, adaptive. This is why we eliminated them in the first place." The human fleet continued fighting, against impossible odds. The Athena took heavy damage, but Major Rodriguez refused to withdraw. "Shields failing," her tactical officer reported. "We can't take another direct hit." "Divert all power from life support if necessary," Rodriguez ordered. "We just need to hold them a little longer." Aboard the Ares, Admiral Chen watched the battle unfold with growing desperation. In the first hour, they'd lost 7 ships. The remaining vessels were all damaged. "Admiral," the communications officer called. "Incoming message from Captain Wei." Chen felt a surge of hope. "Put him through." Wei's face appeared on the screen, barely visible through static. "Admiral, we've located all 7 control nodes. The ancient defense systems are powering up, but we need more time. The estimated activation is still 48 hours away." Chen's heart sank. They wouldn't last another hour, let alone 2 days. "We've tried everything to accelerate the process," Wei continued. "But the systems have been dormant for 50,000 years. His transmission cut off as a massive explosion rocked the outpost. 3 CGA dreadnoughts had broken through their perimeter and were firing directly at the station's central hub. The shields were failing. "All remaining ships fall back to secondary positions," Chen ordered. "Prepare for boarding action. We'll defend this outpost room by room if necessary." But as the CGA fleet closed in for the kill, something unexpected happened. Deep beneath Earth's surface, Captain Wei and Dr. Shang made a breakthrough. In the Mariana Trench facility, Shang discovered a secondary activation protocol. "These systems weren't designed to be dormant for so long," she explained. "But look at this. There's an emergency startup sequence." Wei studied the ancient controls. "It requires simultaneous activation from all 7 sites, and..." He hesitated. "It says it will drain life energy from the activators." Shang nodded, grimly. "A sacrifice. To protect their world, the precursors were willing to give their lives." Wei made the decision instantly. He contacted the teams at the other 6 sites and explained the procedure. Without hesitation, all agreed. "On my mark," Wei instructed. 3, 2, 1. At each site around the world, the human operators placed their hands on the ancient controls. The systems glowed with brilliant light as they drew energy not just from Earth's power grids but from the humans themselves. The operators collapsed, their life forces feeding the awakening of something immense. At the outpost, the battle had moved inside. CGA boarding parties fought against human defenders in the corridors. Admiral Chen led from the front, energy weapon in hand. "Fall back to Section 3, she ordered her troops. "Set charges as you go." Suddenly, every human comm device activated simultaneously. A voice speaking perfect English said, "Precursor defense grid online, planetary shields active, orbital defense platforms deployed." On the main view screen, Chen watched in amazement. As energy readings spiked throughout Earth's solar system, massive structures that had been hidden beneath the planet's surface, buried in moons and concealed within asteroids, came to life. Weapons platforms more advanced than anything in the CGA arsenal powered up after 50 millennia of slumber. The CGA sensors detected the sudden activation too. Grand Imperator Zovak stared in horror at the readings. "No," he whispered. "We destroyed those systems. It's impossible." "Imperator," his science officer reported, "the energy signatures match. Precursor Defense Grid Alpha, the most advanced weaponry they ever created. The system we believed was never completed." "Retreat," Zovax ordered. "All ships, immediate retreat." But it was too late. The defense grid locked onto the CGA fleet and fired. Not beams or projectiles, but waves of energy that passed through, shields as if they weren't there. CGA ships began shutting down, their systems completely neutralized. At the outpost, the boarding parties suddenly froze in place as their weapons and armor stopped functioning. Chen and her troops wasted no time securing the invaders. Within 30 minutes, the entire CGA fleet had been neutralized. The Grand Imperator's flagship alone remained partially operational, protected by its specialized shielding. "Incoming transmission from Earth," reported Chen's communications officer. The screen showed President Morgan standing in the White House, with representatives from other world governments beside her. Admiral Chen, Captain Wei's final message, explained what he and the other teams did. "They gave their lives to activate the defense system," Morgan said solemnly. "The precursor system is now fully under our control. All CGA vessels have been neutralized except for what appears to be their command ship." Chen straightened her uniform. "What are your orders, Madam President?" "The Grand Imperator will speak with us now," Morgan replied firmly. "On our terms." Hours later, in the White House East Room, Grand Imperator Zovax faced the assembled leaders of Earth. His normally imposing presence was diminished by the circumstances. "The Consolidated Galactic Authority acknowledges Earth's right to independence," he stated formally. "We offer a non-aggression pact and trade agreements." President Morgan shook her head. "Not enough. We want reparations for the genocide against our ancestors. We want access to all CGA technology. We want representation in your governing council." "Impossible," Zovax exclaimed. "No single world has such power in the CGA." Admiral Chen stepped forward. "You should know that we've already dispatched ships to 20 subjugated worlds in nearby systems. They carry the truth about the CGA, about how you built your empire on lies and suppression, how you fear innovation and independence, the Mun." Imperator's expression revealed his understanding of what this meant. Throughout the galaxy, rebellion would spread like wildfire. 1 month later, on a newly constructed space station orbiting Earth's moon, representatives from 30 formerly subjugated worlds met with Earth's leaders. The Galactic Concord was formed, an alliance of free worlds united by their desire for independence and innovation. Dr. Montgomery, who had succeeded Admiral Chen after her appointment as Earth's Galactic Defense Commander, looked out at the assembled aliens and humans. Working together, they ordered Earth to surrender, he said quietly. "We answered with warships, and now we've helped create something new in the galaxy. Freedom." Outside the station viewport, a new generation of Earth vessels prepared for their first official mission, not of war but of exploration and liberation. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not as subjects but as leaders of a new galactic age. The end.